Hey, what's up guys? It's Birded from Attic Gaming, and today we are going to take another look at the Double Dagger Ellie build. Alright guys, so the main reason I'm doing this is because it's been a while since I released my last Double Dagger Ellie build, and the game has progressed and changed a bit. The Ellie has received some changes, like in the fire tree, some traits have swapped, and they've kind of reworked the way some of the traits work, and in the Arcane tree as well, they changed the bonus that you get from the Arcane tree, and they swapped some of the traits around. So I want to show you my build, and you can see if anything's changed, and we can talk about some of the new traits that they added into the game as well, and if I feel that they're more effective than the build I already had. And we'll go over our stats, and also remember, after I go over the build, I will discuss some more of the mechanics of how the build actually works. So I was contemplating on how to start this build video, because I don't really like just saying I have these stats and then go through the traits. I have this trait and this trait, but I like to, kind of sum it all up and really give you guys a good understanding of what I'm trying to accomplish and how the build truly operates. So I think what I'm going to start with are my stats. The stats I'm using are, again, the same stats as my last build. I'm using Valkyries on my armor because I'm getting power, vitality, and crit damage. And then I'm using clerics on my accessories. I still have an exotic. I should probably replace that. But anyway, I use clerics on my accessories. That gives me a decent amount of healing power plus my traits. So I'm around 809 healing power. I'm actually a little lower. I have the Bloodlust buff on. That's why you see my stats are in green. But anyway, I use clerics on my accessories and Valkyries on my armor. And the reason being, Valkyries in PvE is, in my opinion, way better than Valkyries in PvP. And this has to do... Whoops, gotta move. This has to do with the fact that I like vitality on my gear a lot more than toughness, because as an Ellie we have a lot of sources of protection. So protection kind of acts as our high amount of toughness, while we got the vitality to deal with condition damage and just get a higher health pool. I feel in Valkyries in PvP sometimes my health pool is a little too low, so I like the Valkyries in PvE a lot more. I think the vitality works a lot better. Again, we have the protection sources that kind of act as our toughness. The next thing I wanted to touch on are my runes, because this is the most important part, I think, as far as stat selection goes. For my runes, you can see I have a 75% boon duration. Now 30% of that comes from the traits, but I have 45% for my runes, which means I have 3 sets of runes, and I'm grabbing the 2-set bonus on all of them. I have Superior Rune of the Water, which is plus healing and then the 15% boon duration. I have Superior Rune of the Monk, which is plus healing and then the plus 15% boon duration. And I have Superior Rune of the Traveler, which is plus 10 to all stats, plus 2% critical damage, and then plus 15% boon duration. Now, Traveler's runes, just a fair warning, Traveler's runes are going to set you back. Just buying 2 will set you back about like 25 gold. They are very expensive. I got lucky, and I got a Traveler's rune when I did a dungeon, and then I just bought the other one. But be warned that Traveler's runes are extremely expensive, and it will set you back quite a bit. So if you can't afford the Traveler's runes, I would suggest just get the Water and the Monk. You could get the Monk from Ascalonian Catacombs. You can spend your dungeon tokens to get the runes. And then the Water runes are pretty cheap. They're like 20 or 30 silver each. So if you can't get the Traveler's runes, just get 2 Water, 2 Monk, and then whatever else you see fit for the other 2. And on my weapons, I'm using just Berserker weapons on for my daggers, and then I have Sigil of Battle, gain 3 stacks of might when you swap to this weapon. So this means when I swap attunements, I'll gain 3 stacks of might, as long as it's off its inner cooldown, which is 9 seconds. And then I have Sigil of Bloodlust. You gain 10 power each time you kill a foe. So one of the things I wanted to point out, if you're like looking at my stats, my attack power seems a bit low. My power is 1,786, and you really don't have to worry about it because the way the double dagger Ellie build works is that you're going to be stacking tons of might. So this is going to just skyrocket as you're fighting. And then not only that, if you're going out to world versus world or you're doing a dungeon or something, your Sigil of Bloodlust will start stacking up quite a bit. Okay, so I sort of struggled on how I'm going to tackle the traits to give you a good understanding of what the build is trying to accomplish and how the build's going to work. So I think I'm going to start in air magic, then I'll actually start backwards in water magic, which should give you a good idea. Now, if you looked at our stats before, we'll just go back real quick. I have 20% crit. That should be a little lower. Again, I have the Bloodlust buff on. But I have some crit, but not a lot. And this is a DPS build, so you would usually want more crit than that. And the way we accomplish that is by Zephyr's Boon. Auras grant Fury and Swiftness when applied. And our Fury, because of our boon duration, is almost 9 seconds when we put a aura on us. Now we have two different auras. We have the Shocking Aura in Lightning, which you can see gives us a lot of Fury, and also in water we have Frost Aura, which will also stack the Fury. So already just by using the auras we get like 16 seconds of Fury. And on top of that, in Arcana, the minor trait, you gain Fury when you switch attunement, which is 3.5 seconds. So as we're switching attunements, we're also gaining the Fury as well. So we have a pretty good uptime of Fury. That way we can sacrifice some of the precision in our build for more power and more crit damage, and more vitality or healing power. And then we can replace the precision on our build with sources of Fury through our traits. Now in water magic, I need to start backwards so you kind of understand everything. This is a really important trait for the double dagger builds. This is cleansing water. You remove a condition when granting regeneration to yourself or an ally. So we're going to be looking at sources of regen. That way we can remove conditions on a pretty consistent basis. Bountiful Power. Deal more damage for each boon on you. Now since we have 75% boon duration, we're going to have like 4 or 5 boons on us pretty much all the time. So that's like a 4 or 5% damage increase to the build. The Soothing Disruption. Cantrips grant you regeneration and vigor, and so you can see the vigor and regen is 10.5 seconds. Now of course vigor is great because it's one of the best damage mitigation abilities you can use in the game. It's pretty much the best because protection will reduce the damage you take, but with vigor you get the endurance regen up, and you can dodge and completely avoid, like a 10,000, 11,000 crit from a killshot warrior. And so since we get the regen from using a cantrip, that means it's going to remove a condition on us. This is great when you have if you have a mobilize on you and you can use your lightning flash and then you cure the mobilize and you go away and it's fine. Healing Ripple. Heal nearby allies when attuning to water. So when we attune to water, that's a pretty big heal. It's over 2,000. Just another way that the double dagger Ellies survive. If we didn't use our abilities, double dagger Ellies are very squishy. If we stood there and just let someone hit us, we would die in just a few hits. But the way the double dagger Ellies truly survive and do what they're able to do is by being extremely active, and we get a lot of healing through our water attunement, and then with all the boons added onto it, that's what gives us the survivability, which if you've ever dueled a double dagger Ellie, you know that they can be very difficult to kill. But if they just sat there, then they would be extremely easy to kill. But the key to double dagger Ellie builds is that they're extremely active. And Cantrip Mastery. This will reduce the recharge on a cantrips. This isn't only important for the regen, which will cleanse the conditions, but Armor of Earth, well, you can see all the boons it gives us. Just using Armor of Earth is a 4% damage increase because of the boons, and it's a stun breaker. And this is an ability you really need when you're PvPing, either in PvP or world versus world, because if you go up against a burst build or like a glass cannon build, you really need Armor of Earth. So reducing the cooldowns on those is very important. Now if we look into Arcana, we have Renewing Stamina. They switched a few traits around, so this is probably the only part of the build that looks a little bit different. So we have Renewing Stamina. You gain Vigor when you deliver a critical hit. I believe this was in the Master trait line before, not in the Adept. And then we have Linger Elements. Attunement bonuses linger after leaving that attunement. And Elemental Attunement. When attuning to an element, you and nearby allies gain a boon. And you can see how long the boon durations are. When we go to Fire and we apply Might, we're applying almost 30 seconds of that Might. So as we're going through our attunements, we can really even stack Might just by switching attunements between Elemental Attunement and our Sigil of Battle. Now that's just between those two, but the way that Double Dagger Ellie works and the way we're going to be stacking Might, you can see that it's very easy to stack Might with this kind of build. And then of course we get the regens, so when we go into water, we're not only getting the heal from the minor trait Healing Ripple, but we're also removing conditions from ourselves and allies as we go into water. And probably the really important one here is, for me anyway, is going into Earth, because you get that 9 seconds of protection. And remember I said the reason I like the Vitality on the Valkyries more is because we have a lot of sources of protection. So we can go high on Vitality and low on Toughness, but replace that Toughness with sources of protection in our build. Arcane Precision skills have a chance to apply a condition on critical hits, which honestly is not that important to us. Okay, so the last trait in Arcana is Evasive Arcana. And what this does is whenever attunement we're in and we dodge, it'll create a spell. This is probably the most important trait in the whole build. I can't do a Double Dagger build without this. I've actually tried. It's so good because if you're in Earth, when you dodge, it does like a mini Churning Earth, which is actually a blast finisher. So if you dodge into a water field, you'll heal your nearby allies. If you dodge into a fire field, which we'll be doing a lot, you'll apply Area of Might stack. And not just that, but if you're in water, I can switch. If I'm getting low on health, I can switch to water. I get the heal from water and the regen and the condition cleanse, and then I dodge in water. I'm also getting a very big heal with that as well. And also because it doesn't like a cleansing wave, and then I can use the cleansing wave in my water as well. So I could go from almost completely dead to full health just by doing that. So a very, very important trait in this build. Okay, so let's talk about our skills. For the healing skill, I'm using Signet of Restoration. I still think it's the best for Double Dagger Ellie because we will be healing a lot because we're very active. You should be switching your attunements and using all your skills pretty much as fast as you can. You can't really sit around and not do anything with Ellie. Another good healing skill is Ether Renewal, but the problem with this one is that it's very easily interruptible. Somebody can stun you or just interrupt you somehow, and your heal will be completely gone because it takes a while to cast it. One thing you could do is, since we have Armor of Earth, you could use Armor of Earth and then use your heal, but I feel like I don't want to burn my Armor of Earth just because I need to heal. So I prefer the Signet over Ether Renewal. And of course I go to cantrip build. I have Mist Form, which is kind of, for me, it's like an oh shit button. Because you get the regen and vigor from the cantrip. It's a stun breaker, and also it's really good for like if you need to stomp somebody, and then you could go and stomp them and then get into your mist form so they can't interrupt you. Or if you're trying to resurrect your ally, you could go and res your ally, pop into mist form so you're not getting hit by all the AoEs, and you got a good chance of getting your teammate up. Armor of Earth, of course, applies 4 boons: Protection, Regen, Stability, Vigor. That's right there is already a 4% damage increase because we're getting 1% damage per boon. The Protection, 10.5 seconds is really good. Between Armor of Earth with 10.5 seconds of protection, and we're getting almost 9 seconds of protection from Earth Attunement. When we get into Earth Attunement, remember we can go into Attunement every 10 seconds. So we almost have 100% protection uptime. So that's why I like the vitality over the toughness, because I could go high vitality and just have protection on the whole time, which acts as my toughness. Yeah, but so Armor of Earth is a stun breaker, vigor, stability, regen, protection. Really good when you're fighting a glass cannon or like a thief's trying to backstab you. Throw Armor of Earth on and you'll absorb a lot of that damage. In PvP, I use Lightning Flash. The one reason I use Lightning Flash is because of Churning Earth. So everyone knows that Churning Earth is very difficult to hit people because it takes so long to cast it. So people usually walk out of the circle, but you can hit Churning Earth and then you can use Lightning Flash and teleport where you need to go near your enemy. And most of the time people don't see it coming. I mean, if people are hardcore PvPers, they might see it a bit more. But you have a much better chance of hitting somebody if you have Lightning Flash with you. But that's why I bring it, because Churning Earth is just so devastating in PvP. For the elite skill, I usually bring the Glyph of Elementals because it's pretty much good in every situation. You can find a use for it. But in World vs. World, I kind of like to bring the Fiery Greatsword because in World vs. World, there's a lot of required movement. And if you're trying to chase somebody down or trying to run away, your Fiery Greatsword will really help that out. So we could grab a Fiery Greatsword, and it's almost like we're a warrior with the Greatsword. We could do the, what's it called, the Fiery Whirl, then we have the Fiery Rush. It gives us a lot more movement with this weapon. So I like to bring this to World vs. World sometimes. Now for PvE, I usually always still bring Mistform and Armor of Earth for PvE. I always bring the Glyph for PvE. I never bring the Greatsword really. There's not too many uses for it. But I will take out Lightning Flash, and there are two other things that I'll use. I'll either use Arcane Wave for the Blast Finisher, just to stack more might, or I'll use situationally I'll use the Frostbow. Because what the Frostbow does, if you don't know, when you're targeting structures, like the Ice Elemental in the Snow Fractal, I can't remember what the fractal is called. But if you target your AoE, let me get the Frostbow out. If you target your AoE, your Ice Storm, on top of the Ice Elemental, every single arrow will hit it. And it actually takes a ton of damage. So also tell your teammates, whoever's power based wants to be picking up the ice bow, don't let condition based builds grab the ice bow. Another thing, like in Ascalonian Catacombs, they have the Graveling Burrows, and the ice bow will pretty much kill it in one ice storm. So that's something you want to bring to certain dungeons. Again, it's situational, but the Frostbow is pretty good with power builds. Alright, before I get into a little bit of how skills work and like the rotation we kind of want to do, the opening for our skills, I do want to mention that this build it's not the best for staff, but it's definitely viable for a staff. There are definitely situations where you'll want to pull out your staff over your daggers. For example, if you are in World vs. World and it's kind of Zerg versus Zerg, and you're in the you're trying to take a keep or something like that, and you need the range, then definitely grab your sword. You'll have quite a bit of support with the healing power that you have, and you'll still be doing decent damage. Not as much damage as you could do if you were actually in a proper staff build, but again, it's good damage and good support. So don't be afraid to pull out your staff if you need to. Okay, one last thing I wanted to show you guys before I'll put in some footage of me playing in World vs. World or PvP. I wanted to show you the kind of attack order I open up with, which is pretty important, and you'll get hopefully you can understand the basics of might stacking with the double dagger Ellie after I show you this. I'm going to do a walkthrough of the skills, and then I will do it in full speed because you have to go pretty fast to get all of your combo finishers, all of your blast finishers into your fire field. So what I'll usually do is I'll open up with Ride the Lightning because it's a gap closer, and I'll hit updraft afterwards. And what this does is it launches him back and me back as well, and it puts like a perfect distance between us for when I go into fire and use my burning speed. So before I go into fire, I'll hit my shocking aura because it'll give me the fury that I need, and in case he tries to attack me, he'll get stunned. Then I'll use my burning speed, which like right after I used the updraft, it would have put him in a perfect position for me to hit him. And then I'll put down my ring of fire, which is my fire field. and then I'll hit him with my fire grab, which is my number 5. So 3, 4, 5. And then this fire field is the most important one, because when that fire field is up, we want to go to our earth, because this is where we have all of our blast finishers. So I put the fire field down, hit him with my fire grab. Then I'm going to want to use earthquake because it's a blast finisher. Then I usually dodge, because remember we have evasive arcana, so it does like a mini churning earth, which is also a blast finisher. And then I'll hit my churning earth, and usually while I'm hitting my churning earth, I'll also throw my arcane wave as well, because you can do both at the same time. So that's 4 blast finishers that we'll be able to get off. So this is how I usually open up. Let me find a golem with a little more health, and then I can do this full speed, and you can see exactly what I try to do, and you can see all the might that I'll stack in the process. There we go. So I got all of it out, and that gives us about 16 stacks. And there we go. I switched to lightning now. I got 19 because I got 3 from the Sigil of battle. And that'll last a while, so I get 20 seconds or so of might. So that'll give us a big advantage when we're fighting right at the beginning, because we'll get that huge boost in damage. And you can keep doing it. You know, you go into fire and then you put your fire field down, and then you can do it again. But you know, it'll take time to get used to cooldowns and things like that. But I mean, you'll get the hang of it. The longer you play, the more like feel you have for how long your cooldowns will be until you can do it again. So that's my rotation I usually start off with, and other than that, I mean, you have number 3, which is a good skill on earth when someone's trying to run away, and then you can immobilize them, you can jump up to them, then I can use earthquake to stun them. And water is really good. If I'm getting low on health, I'll get into water, then I'll get a big heal and regen from just going into water, and then I can dodge and I'll get the big heal as well. It's basically a cleansing wave. Then I can use Cleansing Wave again. I mean, I've cured probably like 4 or 5 conditions off of me at this point, and I've healed myself all the way up to full. Then I can put my Frost Aura on me, which will disable my enemy a little bit, and also I could put on Frozen Burst, which will throw down Chill. It gives me a little time to run around while they're slowed down. And then of course, Cone of Coal is a bit of a support skill. If I'm in a group like a Fractal or a dungeon, I see someone getting low, I'll throw a Cone of Cold on him. It's not like a huge heal, but you know, it heals enough to hopefully save them until they can heal themselves. Alright guys, thank you for watching my double dagger Ellie build. I just wanted to get it out because it's been a while since I talked about it, and there have been a few changes. In case you're wondering if there were some changes that maybe you should pick different traits or go into different lines, I hope I explained everything well enough to you. If you have any comments or you have any questions, make sure you leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. And if you enjoyed the video, subscribe, favorite, and like. Thanks guys. Boxes on me.
Shake it off.
Poor bugger's gonna die. Let's keep going.
This is a good demonstration of why I bring the Fiery Greatsword to Robert's World. Oh, whoops. I went the wrong way for a second. Not good.
No blow. If we're gonna fight him, we gotta fight him.
Here we go.
Well, one of the guys. There he goes. There he goes. 2. Killed. There's Mesmer.
I had to heal for a second.
Well, we successfully killed 3. One of them just jumped off.
I think we can get the rest.
This is the Elliot. I can't. Okay,
We win.
just head back to the clip.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, I got shattered. Crap. Hold on.
Missile, 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 missile.
I know.
Head to the cliffs. Bloody.
Oh, we're in Rover's Road.
Yeah, the alley is. Run, you bitch.
Bye.
We're busy. Invite yourself. They're just gonna keep running back in. Just back off, bro. See, they can't get us. I just target their.
Which zone?
I'm gonna go on.
Just fall back, bro. We'll go down the ramp. Then they can't run. Left, go left, go left. I'm gonna try and knock you off with a great.
They're staying pretty clear of it. I think they learned.
They saw what happened to their other three teammates.